Vedic astrology is wild, and if you haven't had your Vedic astrology chart done, I highly recommend it. I have had mine read twice by two different practitioners, and each time has completely blown my mind. The analogy that I'm going to use, and this is my own interpretation about the difference between Vedic astrology and Western astrology, is Vedic astrology is like the tarot, and Western astrology is like an oracle card. Now, if you know anything about tarot can literally kick you in the teeth sometimes. It can be shadowy, it can be confronting, but it is only showing you what you need to hear because it wants you to keep moving forward. Whereas oracle cards are more like a warm hug. And I find Western or tropical astrology, and please forgive me, I'm not an expert, is a lot more kinder, a lot more gentle. It large in part focuses on your identity, your personality, and your characteristics, whereas Vedic astrology basically is your soul's blueprint. It tells you karmically, and I don't know if dharmically is a word, but it tells you about your karma and your dharma in this life. Certain challenges that your soul has adopted in this incarnation. And it indicates the areas where you will thrive and the areas where you will have challenges. And as I said, I had my charts read by two different practitioners, and both of them surprised me. But the more recent one was about my 8 life missions, the 8 missions that my soul has picked to overcome, to embody, to solve, so to speak, in this lifetime. And when he was going through them, never have I felt so heard, so seen, and so understood. Vedic astrology, and if you have the right practitioner, has a way of highlighting your blind spots. And for me, when he was going through everything, I had so many little confirmations about things that I've thought about, but I've never really articulated out loud. I've even been cross-referencing my Vedic chart with my human design as well as my life path numerology, and I've been noticing a common thread. Like, Vedic astrology is so wild. When the other guy was doing my birth rectification chart, which is to find out my more accurate birth time, he knew things about me that I hadn't ushered to a single soul. He knew about my health problems. He knew that my father had passed and what my father had passed from. He knew intimate details about my siblings and their health issues. And I'm going to be like straight with you. Sometimes you're going to hear things that you don't want to hear. And by way of relationships, and I'll be full transparent with you, my relationship placements aren't amazing. Apparently, I naturally attract people who are going to cheat on me. We are in a different location and a different time of day because as I was recording that video, my best friend who just had her chart done called me to just give me the down low. And hers was incredibly spot on as well. The thing is when it comes to learning what is written in the stars for you, especially when it comes to Vedic astrology, it is not for the faint of heart. You may learn things that may be painful and you've not yet transmuted, but I'm here to say sometimes better the devil you know. Basically means it's good to know your shadows. It's good to know your weak spots, your blind spots, because then you've got a solid understanding of where you may be tripping up on a soul level. Vedic astrology can be so accurate if you get the right practitioner. They can actually predict the day of your death. But I'm like, no thanks, I don't want to know that. But I've heard through other people that they know of astrologers that can actually do this. But I wanted to throw in another fun fact about Vedic astrology that I'd learned only recently and had this confirmed only just last week at one of my jobs. I was having a lovely chat to this Indian woman. And I love to ask people, what lights you up? Like, how did you and your husband meet if they're married? Like, I just geek out on learning about people and their stories. It's just the thing that I love to do. And she was talking about how they met in temple. And then I asked her, I said, if you don't mind me asking, what religion are you? And she said, I'm Hindu, but he's Sikh. And I said, how does that work? And she goes, no, it does work. We, even though our religions are different,
they kind of complement each other. Like she said, Hinduism's a lot more complex. There's a lot more to it, whereas Sikh is a little bit more simpler. Not saying that it's inferior in any way, shape, or form. It's just not as layered as Hinduism is, in her words. That being said, I said to her, was your marriage arranged? And before I could finish my sentence, she goes, no, we married for love. And then it triggered a memory in me that about 2 months ago, I watched this movie and it had the main actress from Bridgerton who played the Indian girl, Miss Sharma, I think it was. It was a movie about her and her family and marriage and meeting people and relationships. Her sister was actually getting married in the film. As part of the proceedings in the lead up to the actual union, the marriage, they get their Vedic charts done. And I actually asked the woman, did you get your Vedic charts done before you got married? And she goes, oh yeah, that's very much a thing. She goes, our charts matched up. Yes, that's definitely something that we do. And she actually said to me, if your charts don't match up, you don't get married. And I was like, wow, that's so fascinating. And she goes, in fact, my sister and her husband met out of love. When they went to get their charts lined up, they didn't match. Her sister's husband was so in love with her, didn't really believe in it so much. So he paid someone to doctor his charts so their charts would line up so that they could get married. Want to have a guess at what happened? 10 years later, they got divorced. So I'll wrap this video up with a question. If you're a person who has had their Vedic chart done, what's something wild about it that really surprised you? Or have you had your Vedic chart done just before you got married, and what has been the outcome for you? I'd love to know any and all stories with Vedic charts and whatnot, because I geek out at this stuff. Anyways, thanks for watching. Bye. Bye.